what I want to do tonight is a little different. I want to start off in our study actually taking you through a little bit of how I would approach a study, or how I normally do approach my study of a passage, at least partway. One of the tools that I like to use that I think is helpful because it has a lot of different translations is BibleGateway.com. So that's what I would do, is I would just come here and I would type in Psalm 19 and hit enter, and here it is. And I happen to normally have it open to the New King James Version. You can also increase your font size here if you want to. And there's another tool that's really handy here, which is this add parallel. So if we do that, then it opens up a different translation right next to it. And so we could look at the English Standard Version, or we can choose a different one. I think the English Standard is fine for what we're doing right now. But when we start looking through it, we can compare a little bit, and we'll read through this a little bit later. But if we start looking through, okay, the heavens declare the glory of God. That's the same in both translations. And the firmament shows his handiwork, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. So having different translations sometimes can make you think, oh, what is this word firmament? And according to the English Standard Translation, it means the sky above. So we could look at some other translations, or we could look at another tool that we'll see in just a moment that might help us with that. But then we see day unto day utters speech, day to day pours out speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge, and night to night reveals knowledge. Pretty much the same thing. When we get to verse 3, there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. There is no speech, nor are there words whose voice is not heard. And then if you look at another translation, let's look at the New American Standard Bible. It says, there is no speech, nor are there words, their voice is not heard. So there's three different ways of translating this one verse, at least. And so if we just stop here for the sake of looking at what we're studying and seeing how we're going to examine this, what I would do then is go over to a different website, which is BibleHub.com. And here I would type in Psalm 19. And I can just type in the chapter, and then it has it here in the Berean Standard Bible. But then I can see, okay, the verse that I'm looking at, without speech or language, without a sound to be heard, their voice has gone out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. So that's a little bit different than the others as well. So I can click on verse 3, and now I can see a lot of different translations right after each other for this one verse. So the New International, they have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them. There's the English Standard, the Berean Standard, we've looked at those. The New American Standard, we looked at that one. And then we can look at some others. The Christian Standard Bible, there is no speech, there are no words, their voice is not heard. Okay, that's very similar to the New American Standard. This one's very similar to that too. Okay, so anyway, we can compare them. Then we can come down a bit farther on the page, and we have here a study Bible, which just is something that they developed, I believe, that kind of is explaining the different passages, which may or may not be useful. And it's not always going to be right, so you have to always be careful with things like this. But it explains what they think it's talking about, but it doesn't really explain why there's a difference in translation. So if that's what we're interested in, we'll need to go on down. And they've got their own things now, mostly before we get to older commentaries, but then there's commentaries farther down. So this one says that the literal rendering is not speech, not words, their voice is not heard. Then he explains different ways that this might be translated and why they don't believe some of these are valid. So they basically keep the same idea as the New American Standard. There is no speech, there are no uttered words, their voice is inaudible. And the pulpit commentary says something very similar. There is no speech, there are no words, their So they scan this in, and sometimes it misses what the actual words are. Their vowels are not heard. I think it's their voices not heard. But anyway, and you can click on parallel commentaries to get a lot more of them. So you can look through all these different commentaries and what they have to say. Kyle and Delitzsch in particular is a little bit harder to read, but they're experts in Hebrew better than a lot of the others. And so they tend to give really good explanations for why they believe different translations are best, if you can understand what they're saying. But anyway, that's one thing. And then if you go back, you can also see below the commentaries on this page, there is the Hebrew from the verse. And so you have each Hebrew word basically broken out for us. So without speech, or language, and they say it's a word, a matter, a thing, or a cause. It's not exactly the word language, even though that's how they translated it here. And you can click on this particular part here, and it will take you to a listing of where this Hebrew word is used and how it's translated in some of the different translations all throughout the Old Testament. So some of them, you might say, oh, it doesn't really make sense to me why that would be the same word because of. But it's because of the context, the translators, because of how Hebrew is written, the translators understand how to translate it into the idea in English. But anyway, you can see, okay, a thing, a matter, that's a request. So something that is concerning something, but you don't really see it being translated as language. And that's what one of the commentators at least was saying. All right. So that's one of the things you can do is just look at how it's translated in other places, what the translators say. If you actually go back again to this page, you can also look at a summary of this word. And what it does is it shows you what different lexicons basically say the word means by how it's used in the Bible in particular, sometimes in other Hebrew documents of the same era as well. But again, you look through here and you don't really find language being part of what they say it can mean. So it's probably a better translation from the New American Standard than from the New King James here. All right, so that may be boring to some of you. It may be helpful just to see how to use some of these tools just very quickly. But I just wanted to go through that a little bit. And then I want us to look at the next part of what I would normally do. I would copy the chapter, and there's a tool that I think normally comes with Microsoft Office, but it's free, I believe. It may be even with Windows, but it's called OneNote. And so I like to put things in OneNote sometimes because of the highlighting capabilities. We're going to go through this. This is the New King James translation. We're going to just take a look at some of the things in this psalm, but let's read through it first. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tabernacle for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoices like a strong man to run its race. Its rising is from one end of heaven, and its circuit to the other end, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them your servant is warned, and in keeping them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse me from secret faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless, and I shall be innocent of great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. We see that he starts off talking about the heavens. So we have the heavens declaring the glory of God, and the firmament showing his handiwork, and day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. The idea here is that these are all connected. So the glory of God, his handiwork, and it's through speech, or it's speaking something. It's revealing knowledge, but we find in verse 3 that if we use the New American Standard Translation, it does it without speech or word. But what it does is, in the day, we see the sun declaring the glory of God. At night, we see the moon and the stars declaring the glory of God. The heavens are declaring the glory of God. The firmament, or the sky above, is showing his handiwork, what he has made. And each day is uttering something. It's showing us something about God, revealing what Romans 1 tells us is what can be clearly seen through creation about the nature of God who made all of this. But he does say that there is no speech nor language. Their voice is not heard. And you can see that the where is in italics, and there is in italics. That means that that's not in the Hebrew, that they inserted that in their translation. So even from the New King James, you can sort of get that idea if you leave out the where especially. It's able to speak these things without using words. It's able to reveal things about God just by being what it is, by doing what God told it to do at the beginning. And so their words are heard to the end of the world. So they have words, in a sense, even though it's not through speech. And their line is the same idea as their words. So everybody can see this. One of the things that I was thinking about with this idea that without words, they're speaking, is what we find in 1 Peter 3 about wives who can win their husbands to the Lord, the unbelieving husbands, without a word, through their obedience, through their example, by following the law of God, just like the heavens do. And so he says in them, or in the heavens, in the firmament, in the day and the night, he has set a tabernacle for the sun. So the sky is the place where the sun lives. And it's like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber and rejoices like a strong man to run its race from one end of the heaven to the other. I'm not going to keep highlighting here because of time, but I hope you can see how highlighting can help us connect some of the ideas. But he says that this is one of the ways God's glory is declared, through the sun, rising every day, going across. There's nothing hidden from its heat. And then he says the law of the Lord is perfect. Well, what does that have to do with what he was just talking about? All of the heavens do what they do because God told them to do it. They follow God's law, and it has worked perfectly for thousands of years because his law is perfect. And if his law is perfect for them, his law is perfect for us as well. And it's not perfect because we agree with it. It's not perfect because it fits our culture. It's not perfect because it fits what we think is right. It's perfect because it's from God, and it is perfect. And so it converts our soul. We are to be changed by the law of the Lord in how we think and how we act. It's not perfect because we're already in agreement with it. But the testimony of the Lord is sure. When he says something is true, you can know it's true. And it makes wise the simple. The simple. We're not wise. We may not be scientists and all of that. And we can still know more than scientists in many ways, just because we know what God has said, and his word is true. He knows what he's talking about. His testimony is sure. The statutes of the Lord are right. We know if he says something, this is justice, this is right, this is wrong, he is right always. And that makes us rejoice because we can know what's right and wrong. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. So there's nothing unclean, there's nothing bad in it. And so we have this wonderful picture of what is from God being so useful and and giving us knowledge and making us wise and opening our eyes. And we should fear the Lord because of all of this. The fear of the Lord is clean. That's what is deserved. It's absolutely appropriate, and it endures forever. And the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. He's always right in his judgment, which is something that comes up a lot, even with those being judged, like David or Nehemiah or perhaps Ezra do the same thing, declaring how righteous God is in his judgment. Daniel, I think, as well. But we need to recognize he's always right. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says, God is the one who's right. And that's why it's more to be desired than gold or honey or anything pleasant or making us wealthy in this world, because it's something that lasts far more than any of these things. It can last for eternity. And it helps us to live right. It helps us to live well. It helps us to have confidence in what we're doing, which gold does not do, honey does not do. We have a warning from the words of God, from the law of God, and it gives us great reward when we keep to these warnings. And so then he says, who can understand his errors? We're going to be wrong about things because we're not God. But as long as we are seeking him and continuing to learn from him, we're going to start discovering our errors. So cleanse me from secret faults, things that I don't know about. If I will study the law of God, I can be cleansed from these things. So keep back your servant from presumptuous sins. That means doing things that I just assume are right, which is what most of us do. Most of the world just assumes something's right and goes ahead and does it without seeking the word of God, the law of God, to see if it really is right. So he's saying, keep me from that, based on his law that he's been talking about. Let them not have dominion over me, then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. And so if I will listen to the law of God, study it, learn it, grow in it, I can avoid these things, these presumptuous sins, because I will know what God has said. So let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. So the words that I speak and even what I'm thinking in my heart, meditating on, that should be acceptable to God, and we should be thinking about his law. We should be speaking things in keeping with his law, the things that are perfect. Just like his law for nature works perfectly, his law for us works perfectly as well. And we need to follow it. No matter what anybody else thinks, our family, our friends, our neighbors, doesn't matter. God is always right, and we should rejoice in knowing that. But I hope that that was helpful to you.